Hey, welcome to the DPP channel, and today we'll be taking a look at the final game, D-Brigade versus 3 Musketeers. We will see how the game will unfold here as the D-Brigade players start off the game with a Dracomon Hardcore, which allows you to look at the top 3, picking up a Dramon to hand, in that case, the 4-cost Dramon to hand from the trial deck, which is a 5k rookie. Now the 3 memory is passed to the 3 Musketeer here as he does hatch the Digitama, evolving to the Inmon there. 3 Musketeer is a mid-range deck in my opinion, as it does need to fill up the drop zone before it can do any shenanigans. Now the common Dramon will be pushed out from the nursery there, swinging at the security. It does die in the security check, but fear not, because of the Digitama, it allows you to put the top card. If it's a black Digimon, you can add it to hand, so it's technically not a minus. The Dracomon does die as well, and we do hardcore a 2-cost common Dramon here, passing back only 1 memory to the 3 Musketeer player, as the 3 Musketeer player does swing the Inmon there. And we proc the Dual Tamer first, which allows him to draw 1 and discarding 1. So he does discard the Trump Sword there, and then draw 1 through the Digitama skill. Inmon will swing the security, and hopefully it does die, but it does die to a Codramon there, which is not exactly the best thing in the world for him, but he does get to mill 3 either way. Let's go for the Trump Sword at the Codramon there to actually answer the Digimon, as he does have only 3 security left. That's actually a very high cost play, I would say, as the Codramon, or rather the D-Brigade player, does have 6 memory to work with now, and does dodge the Trump Sword there, so very fortunate. He does hardcore a Codramon to draw 2, which is a very good card in a very aggressive kind of deck, given that it does allow you to draw 2, refueling your hand, and it does have a security effect where it comes out in the security as a Digimon, putting some pressure on your opponent during their turn. Now he does actually hardcore the Buildstamon here, and then going for the Trump Sword unfortunately doesn't have the black spell there, which would have cleared the field much more effectively, putting the D-Brigade in a much harder position. But the D-Brigade will be pushing out more Digimons here, actually going for game already, and this is unfortunate as we do move on to game 2, and we will have 3 Musketeer actually going first in this game. I would say for the 3 Musketeer player, this matchup is actually a pretty bad matchup for him in general, just because D-Brigade does have a rookie rush kind of vibe to it, while 3 Musketeer does only excel in the mid game, but there is no mid game if the game does end in the early game. Now the Codramon will be hardcore here to actually pick up the Steel Dramon to hand, and you can't win the family of Dramons. Family is forever. Now we do see a Dual Tamer being played here for the purple player to set up for the 3 Musketeer, and I would say this Dual Tamer does help 3 Musketeers a lot, but the only problem is that it does require you to actually set it up in the first place. And we do see the Matt Ishida Tamer here, which does guarantee 3 memory for him, and we do see a Codramon being hard played here for 6 costs, and he does draw 2 for the D-Brigade player, and now he does go for a Buildstamon for a total of 12 costs, as there's no discount to actually play the black spell from hand, which he desperately needs, and he does clear 4 Digimons on the field, so that's a board wipe. But we do have skills going on for on deletion effects for the Digitama first and the D-Brigade Common Dramon, calling another Common Dramon to the field, and that's quite sick in my opinion, as he does have another body to push the security with, and he does have 7 memory to work with in this turn, which is quite a lot. And we do evolve into a Common Dramon here in the nursery, pushing with the Common Dramon first, does die, and we'll be looking at top 3 once again. You'll see the same one with the same effect, which is pretty broken or pretty nuts in my opinion, just because the body doesn't really die. Now he does go for the Iron Fisted Onslaught here to actually kill off the Buildstamon, which is a potential Zwart threat, so it's important to remove that from the field. And he does hardcore the Gun Dramon from hand for 11 costs, not exactly the best move to make, but against D-Brigade, you do desperately need a blocker on the field to actually deter some sort of aggressive turns. But the Common Dramon doesn't actually stop, as he does swing at the security, and he does rewind to die, looking at top 3, and we do see yet another Common Dramon with the same effect. Man, this is just nuts, as we do see a Dark Dramon being hard played here, which will be a total of 5 costs, just because we do have only 4 D-Brigade in the drop zone, and we do evolve to the Omnimon Zwart defeat here, killing off that 3 memory gain Tamer, and evolving to the Steel Dramon to actually somewhat memory choke the 3 Musketeer here. Now he does swing with the bat here, using a Dual Tamer to actually draw 1 and discard 1 to cycle more into his deck, hopefully finding some sort of answer against this bot. He does discard the option here. I'll be drawing 1 through the Digitama. I'll be discarding for the memory gain. And the Common Dramon blocker will actually be blocking this, as there's no need to take this kind of damage. And we do see the Omnimon Zwart being evolved here, milling 3 from the top deck. And it does hardcore the Ogremon, discarding already, and it does hardcore the Valmon as well, which is perfect against D-Brigade just because it's a blocker, and the Ogremon skill will actually kill off the Sealdramon there. And he does have only 2 security left with 3 Digimons on the field, and that's pretty scary. Now we do evolve to another Common Dramon in the nursery there. The Common Dramon will swing a security without any fear, as he does have a very nice top 3 skill, but looks like we do miss this time round, so very unfortunate. The Sword Defeat will swing a security too, hitting to a Trump Sword, which does kill off the Common Dramon blocker. And we do hardcore 2 Common Dramons to pass back a total of 2 memory to the 3 Musketeer player. With only 0 security left, 3 Musketeer player is definitely struggling against this D-Brigade lineup, as there are a total of 4 Digimons that can be attacking, and he does have only 1 blocker. He does swing the Ogremon at the security first, using the Dual Tamer skill to actually draw 1, discard 1. Thus discard the Deputy Mon. And now Zord will be swinging at the Zord Defeat, actually bouncing the Gundramon to actually kill off the Common Dramon, reducing more Digimons on the field for the D-Brigade side. Top 3 does miss this time. And Zord Defeat being destroyed, you can actually destroy one of the opponent's Digimon, in this case a blocker. So it's very unfortunate for the 3 Musketeer player side, and looks like this should be game, as there's 2 Digimons against that 1 blocker with 0 security, and this is game. Now we do move on to the Common Dramon deck profile itself. Now, to start things off, I would like to point out that this deck doesn't run any level 5, or rather any level 4 except the Sealdramon. Now, to throw it out there first, I don't really like Tank Dramon, just because Tank Dramon in this meta doesn't really do too much for your deck. Now, Tank Dramon's skill does only activates during your turn only, and usually all the destruction spells usually is done during the opponent's turn. So basically, Tank Dramon's skill will never activate, and having to actually evolve the Tank Dramon itself requires you to actually commit your resources to 1 single Digimon, and the 1 single Digimon will be actually nuked away with the same spell, while you can actually separate your resources so that your opponent has a harder time to actually clear off the Digimons rather than have their 1 spell to actually discount heal all your Digimon. So let's dive right into the deck profile itself. First off, we will start off with the 16 Common Dramons there, and 16 Common Dramons is pretty self-explanatory, I would say, because 16 rookies to actually evolve. You do want to evolve consistently every turn, so to build up the pressure, and because opponent can't really deal the nursery, and having a nursery Digimon to actually pose that threat is very important. The next card I'll be talking about will be the tech card in this deck actually, which is the Dracomon. It does have an on-play ability. Looking at top 3, you can pick up 1 Dramon card from your top 3 to actually add to hand and put the rest to the bottom. Now, the Dramon does include Mana Dramon, Dark Dramon, Sealdramon, Core Dramon, and all the Common Dramon. So basically, if you look at it closely, this deck does have all the Digimon being searchable through Dracomon except the Zord Defeat, and the options and the Tamer. So there's quite a lot of hit targets to allow you to actually hit very often through the top 3 checks. Now, for the next card I'll be talking about will be the Core Dramon. Now, this Digimon is very strong just in general for aggressive kind of deck, just because it does 2 things. Firstly, the draw 2. Now, usually aggressive deck does run out of steam very fast because they hardcore their cards and they won't be drawing much in the game. But with Core Dramon, you actually have the ability to draw 2. And secondly, because it's an aggressive deck, it does have the security effect. Basically, a security monster, which your opponent will be dealing damage to you, and then suddenly there's 1 more Digimon they have to deal with, and that is actually very annoying. Now, next up we'll be playing the Magna Dramon, which is the 3 copies. Basically, in this meta, I would say there's a lot of players who actually play towards the security heavy kind of deck, so we're actually drawing that idea from them. The deck does run 8 options and 4 Sword Defeat as well, so the Magna Dramon does actually help the deck to actually have that sudden advantage through the heals. Next up will be Dark Dramon. Now, Dark Dramon is self-explanatory as well. It's basically a rush unit, and it can be a 3-cost Digimon if you do put up to 5 D-Brigade stuff to the top of the deck. This also means that you can actually put Dark Dramon from your drop zone to the top of the deck to actually recycle the Dark Dramon to apply constant pressure. Now, I forgot about this card, which is the Sealdramon. This is actually just being played just for the D-Brigade archetype. Blocker isn't exactly necessary in this deck, but it can be nice, so that's why we are playing it. And hard calling for 5 costs isn't too bad. Lastly, we'll be talking about the Zord Defeats here. Zord Defeats are just too good not to be played in this kind of aggressive kind of deck, as it does serve as a security Digimon. But in D-Brigade itself, it does serve a secondary purpose, which is to evolve on your Dark Dramon. Now Dark Dramon does not have actually a presence except its rush, but if you do evolve to Zord Defeat, you can actually kill off your opponent's Tamer, which does very well against the Bond decks, and having the presence which I've spoken of, basically your opponent can't really deal with it easily, putting them in a very awkward situation whereby they have to deal with the Digimon and trade off the Digimon as well due to the Zord Defeat effect. Now for the option and Tamer, it's very self-explanatory as well. The 4 Ultimate Flares and the 4 new Gankumon option. And we're playing 3 Easy Izumi as well, because Easy Izumi does allow you to check the top 3 so you can break less often. Now, summarizing this deck up, this deck basically takes the vibe of a Rookie Rush and a Security Control being mixed together, forming this ultimate D-Brigade deck list. Now moving on to the 3 Musketeers itself, let's start off by saying that 3 Musketeers does have its similarity towards the Security option or rather Security Control decks, but again, I would say that 3 Musketeers does do well in the mid-range rather than the late game. So let's start off the deck list itself. We are playing a total of actually 12 rookies here, 8 Inmons, 2 Gazimons, and the 2, I would say, Bat. Now the Inmon are there individually to do their good things, one of them being the Mew 3 one, and one of them being the taking back your 3 Musketeers, mainly abuse summons back to your hand so they can abuse it once again. And the Gazimons is very good in this meta because a lot of people are actually gaining memory through non-tamer skills, so you do want to actually stop them from progressing further into their game plan, so Gazimon is very nice. And for the Batmon, it's basically mainly to mill your options from your hand, which is usually stuck in your hand, to gain the extra 1 memory. It does pair very well with Digitama on the top left hand corner, which is the Sunomon, allowing you to draw 1 when you discard 1 card from your hand. Now moving on to the level 4, so we're actually playing 4 Deputymon, 2 Ogremon, and 2 Valmons. Now, the Deputymon is quite unstable as it does do the milling, which 3 Musketeers desperately needs, and it can allow you to actually evolve to your Gundramon or even your red 3 Musketeer card, allowing you to actually proc the on-evolve skill. So I would say this card is definitely a must play in 3 Musketeers, and the 2 Ogremon is mainly a flex spot given that it does synergize well with the Zords. Sadly, it doesn't work well with Neobone as Neobone doesn't allow you to proc that Ogremon skill on place. Now the Valmon is self-explanatory. Blocker is always nice given that this deck can actually spawn quite a bit of the field, so Valmon is just there to actually stop your opponent to actually overrush you given that this deck is a mid-range deck. Now moving on to the next pile of Digimon, which will be the 4 Buildstarmon, 3 Gundramon, and the 2 Red Musketeer Digimon. Now, Buildstarmon is just too strong of a card, I would say, given that it can be effectively 0 cost if the game does allow it. So, having a 0 cost level 6 Digimon and can cast the option for free in TCG generally, 0 cost stuff is just too strong in this game, and especially in Digimon. Now we do move on to the Tamers as well as the options. Now the options, he does play 2 New Bones, 2 of the Red Spell, 3 Trump Sword, 3 Black Spell, and 4 of the new Death Bullet. Now these options are the best cards you can play. The 7 cost one for Buildstarmon especially because of how well they synergize in the game itself, I would say. Being that 3 of them, or rather 4 of the options, excluding the Neobone, does interact with your opponent, and this game, when you can interact with your opponent too much, your opponent will basically almost quit the game because the game is too hard to play as your Digimons keep getting touched. Now that's why actually you do see a lot of Cranium Mons being used right now to actually counter off 3 Musketeers. But with that being said, 3 Musketeers is actually adopting the Millennium Mon here. Millennium Mon does counter well against the Cranium Mon, especially because you can have a very cheap cost Buildstarmon at the same turn evolving to your Millennium Mon to actually kill off that Cranium Mon. Now he does actually play the Zord as well, so the Zord does allow you to spawn the field, proccing your Inmon and your Ogremon to actually take back your Buildstarmon, and Zord does have the secondary ability to actually bounce the level 6 back to hand, in this case the Buildstarmon, to further abuse Buildstarmon once again. Sorry for skipping the Tamers here. Now for the Tamers, he does play 2 Dual Tamers and 1 Guarantee 3 Tamer here. Now the Dual Tamers are there mainly just for you to actually proc the discard 1 and draw 1, allowing you to fill out your drop zone much quicker and cycle into your deck. And the Mac Ishida Tamer, it does 2 things. Firstly, to guarantee 3 memory, and the second thing is to actually pick up a purple Digimon or option from your drop zone to your hand, allowing you to be flexible always. Thank you for watching till the end, and do consider subscribing, dropping a like and a comment if you guys do enjoy the content.